Were there, from a personal perspective, from a professional skill-based perspective, were there points of contact between your work, what you had to do in the private sector, what you now do for Arts Council of England, things that you've learned from one job that you've been able to?
I mean, a lot of my job, so I'm a chief executive. I ultimately have responsibility for the organisation, reporting to our national council. So Peter Bazalgette, who is our chair, who came to one of these before, he chairs the national council. But you know, the Arts Council is probably, I think it's the fourth largest charity in England. We are a national lottery distributor. We have grant and aid money from DCMS. We are the distributor of Department for Education funding for music hubs. We also have UK-wide statutory responsibilities. So if you wanted to leave that money that you've been keeping in the attic to the nation in lieu of tax, we're the people who do that right across the country. If you have something that you want to export or import for, because you're putting on an art exhibition, again, we do that statutory responsibility for the whole country. So lots of quite complicating, quite different things. And I think it's very important that, for me, it's about people in the end. I believe passionately in having teams of people, people who want to come to work in the morning, who feel engaged, who feel excited, and who are going on a journey. I think organisations that are learning organisations, and I think are really, really important. I think that's one of the reasons people stay with organisations, because of the experiences they have, and I think that's something that's really important. And I would say to people, you know, there are two ways of managing your career, particularly sort of in your 20s and 30s. One is you do the short, sharp shock in lots of different places, and the other one, which will be the one that, you know, was more I did, I said, well, actually, this is an organisation where I can, over a period of time, gain a lot of experiences and do things here without having to move around. There are merits in both. I think the short, sharp shot one means you will probably have a wider network of people. You will have tried different things. You will have worked out how different organisations work, and you'll have a lot of different bosses. One of the big things I think is, you know, when you see someone, the best thing you can do is when you see someone who's good or you see someone who's bad as a boss, analyse it. And if they're good, say, I want to be like that. I want to replicate that behaviour when I have the opportunity. If they're bad, say, I'm going to do the opposite of that when I have the opportunity. And I think, you know, we've all got people who lead us in one way or another, or who we work with. And you could, you know, it's worth keep thinking and also being self-reflective and actually knowing that your dream when you came into an organisation might have been to do. I would have dearly loved to have presented the Radio 1 breakfast show, but I probably wasn't good enough, in all honesty. In fact, I definitely wasn't good enough. And, you know, so I got that out of my system pretty early and understood what I could be better at. And I think one of the things I say to people is to keep analysing that yourself and keep asking yourselves that question as to what actually your real core skills are, and to make sure that you then live those out. And you know, if your organisation, you get to a stage where you feel you've got everything from that organisation and you've given everything to that organisation. One thing I would say, which I would say, you asked earlier about what was different from, you know, when I was starting out. I sense sometimes now, and I think some of this is because of the university sector, where now students coming through university are customers because they're paying quite a lot of money for that privilege. So I was still, at the time when I got a full grant coming through university. So I was kind of being paid to be there rather than paying for it. And I think there is that, and I talk to people in the university sector and they tell me a lot that there are, you know, students are now quite demanding, they have expectations. Whereas I suppose in my day we're a little bit more grateful. I'm not saying that's wrong, it's just the fact was that things were handed down to us and that was just the way it was. Now you've got universities where you're all paying £9,000 and actually they're having to compete. And I think the world of work isn't quite like that. And sometimes I do observe that people come in out of their university and expect to be leading the organisation within a matter of weeks. That's something that I think is to calm down a little bit with that and to just say, let me soak up, let me work out how things work, let me soak up experiences, let me understand how people who have got on in this organisation have done that. And I think it's worth being self-reflective all the way through and thinking about that and questioning yourself. I don't mean you should be doubting yourself, I just mean you should be questioning. And when you get to that stage in an organisation where you think, actually, there's nothing more for me to give and there's nothing more for me to take from them, that's probably the moment where, when you've done everything and you've had all those experiences, you need the next challenge.